Okay, I'm gonna try to do something other than L2. But not against this guy, I'm not. Gotcha! That's how you cut the weeds, baby! They never showed you how to cut the weeds? They never fucking showed you how? You guys see that? You see that weed cut?
You think you're safe and alive? You're already dead. Everybody, you're dead already. This whole place, everything you see is gone. You're the one living in a fucking dream, some of it, because I knew it happened. It happened.
Cutting those weeds. Your fucking weed cut. Your weed cut. Your weed cut. So dumb. Okay, you're dead.
99. Nice.
My hyper armor over yours. No! Hi. Hi, light roller! Okay, goodbye. That's a double kill. Confirmed. Elden Ring's Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is all about the night. A lot of people have been concerned about the state of Elden Ring invasions these days. Don't get me wrong, I've got my worries. But there's nothing quite like it that can give you that fix. Too. You can see where my build inspiration comes from. Take everything in the game that has one word in it and put it on a build. Genius. I know what you're thinking. This guy has a knack for innovative build making, but you'd have to be on one to not notice how pushed the new color of Dex builds is. The color of night. I brought this build to 139 because I had an itch to play the underexplored new weapon Obsidian Lamina. Why 17 Arcane Ansbach? Is there something you like about Moog you're not telling us? The heavy dex requirements in Arcane Splash line this weapon up with Morgoth's Cursed Sword pretty well, but since this is one of the few remaining DLC weapons only builds I'll be showcasing, we had to go with some other complementary weapons. You know, like all the other ones in the DLC with the word night. Obsidian Lamina works pretty well with the night theme, and don't get me started on this fashion. Going full Witch King of Angmar with this one, wearing an all-black outfit is always a bold fashion statement. I don't care if the helmet weirdly has no poise, this is a clean look. The weapon itself though, maybe not as sick. Scythes were buffed on patch 1.12 and I love Scythe gaming. On a high dex build that gets good physical AR and has all the quirky root motion, crazy hitboxes, and silly super armor we've come to love on Scythes. But in Invasions, Scythes can be difficult to play if you don't crutch on Flaming Strike. Don't argue and say the free iframes make up for it. Dynastic sickle play is more Bloodhound Finesse than Bloodhound Step. Bloodhound Finesse is a great Ash of War, but the long recovery makes it an easy backstab punish for anyone who has done more than a couple low-level invasions. And if you don't cancel the first part of Dynastic sickle play with the follow-ups or another attack, you're stuck in this slick, sick sickle pose like you're up for the On-Spot Cosplayer 2025 calendar. The 3-part animation has a first part with some decent iframes that will cause you to move backward from your target or towards them if you hold back when you aren't locked on, a second part that does a decently beefy swipe with some forward momentum, and a third button press that causes you to do a slice that sends you about 30 feet away from your opponent if you're locked on. It's funky, feels unpredictable when you aren't locked on, and doesn't have the damage to make up for the commitment. And I tried to get the reverse sickle play backstab. Oh, I tried. It's possible, but doesn't seem as reliable as other reverse iframe animations for backstab because of its slower speed. It's a fun weapon, and has okay damage, and although I wanted this one to be the big winner of the build, we had enough other broken things to ride to plenty of brutal victories. When I wasn't doing so well with the Lamina, I could just swap to Claws of the Night and harass ganks for max range. And while these were technically buffed with an increase in poise damage to the R2 and jumping R2 in the most recent major patch, who cares? L2 is almost always going to be the best approach with this one. It's been said by other content creators, but these things are busted. Because of the headshot potential, you can deal solid damage, tier 3 hit stun, and huge bleed buildup with the silly number of projectiles from the L2, all from a safe range. You can interrupt magic users with this, fight groups at a healthy range, and even straight up just kill by keeping your finger glued to L2. Yes, claws are a decent weapon class, and you can chase down and get priority with these against people who are getting too close. I can't say that based on personal experience though, I only ever pressed L2. These are good as a main weapon, and they work phenomenally as a swap to finish someone off. This is just the first of a number of absolutely broken setups on the build that also have the word knight in them. Oh, I got it! I got that guy! Was that the host? If L2 spam from 30 feet isn't getting the job done, try it from right in front of your enemy. Sword of the Knight is a disgusting true combo machine that gives you ridiculous free damage. After the release of the DLC, people quickly discovered that the Ash of War true combos into the R2 or the R1. This leads to massive damage, can trigger multi-hit talismans, and gives you an excellent roll catch or punish option to quickly burn down a phantom if you have a 1v1 opportunity. Because of the multiple hits, this is a pretty decent weapon for building up bleed. Doing a running R2 into the first level of Ash of War charge will roll catch on the right latency, and you can follow up with the R2 for more damage or the R1 for a quicker hit. Use it after your first combo to try the roll catch again and repeat the cycle. I also noticed that catching people rolling around you with the second or third hit of the Ash of War will also combo into the R1 or R2. And in addition to all of that punishing nuttiness, this Ash goes through shields too. I found my new favorite fingerprint punish, and it does not disappoint. Because the first hit of the Ash gets through the shield, you'll get the full combo if you aren't knocked out of the animation. With that on top of possible bleed procs, you've got yourself a top shelf can opener. I've heard charging the Ash could be good too, but once again, I never tried it. I only L2'd. But now, my friends, we are leaving the land of the broken, and entering a new realm of the absolutely busted in half. We got it, Steve! We got it! We got the full combo, Steve! We did it! This might not be new to you, but it was to me. My buddy Tamasteve told me in my stream that you can use the offhand Great Katana into Katana R1 combo into the true combo Sword of the Knight roll catch for a 7-piece combo that would put KFC to shame. Beyond being pretty nifty or broken weapons on their own, Great Katanas have great true combo potential when in the offhand. I haven't tested everything, but many of the small weapons with fast frame data in the game will combo from your Great Katana L1. It just so happens that the roll catch punish on your main hand weapon with this setup has a 5-hit combo that can deal 1200 damage and proc bleed. It's also no coincidence that the best Great Katana in the game has similar stat requirements, hyper armor to handy tech 2, and an even more broken Ash of War that was unreasonably buffed in the most recent patch. And on top of that, it's dark and moody and fits the night theme. A Rakshasa is a mythical demon in Hindu lore, and from what I understand, it works by haunting PvP video games and gifting the already brain-rotted players unbelievable powers of button mashing, the likes of which they've never found before. So when you put this whole setup together, you see the hilarious potential for brutality against hosts and phantoms of all levels and varieties. A few of these clips are from before the big patch. I was using Weed Cutter as a quick hyper armor swap, hoping it could operate as a sort of thunderstorm or waves of darkness for a Dex build with its wide hitboxes, impressive hyper armor, and high damage. It worked okay in this capacity, but when it turns out your hyper armor swap is also just the best weapon in your inventory, it makes more sense to just equip it in your main hand and swap to the more conditional weapons in your inventory. So after the patch, that's what I started to do. And boy howdy did my win rate soar. That's because right now, Raksasa's Great Katana is one of the most elite invasion weapons in the game. In my opinion, it shares rare air with the likes of Moonveil, Pata, PSGS, Flaming Strike Halberd, and Gugs as elite invasion setups that can take on nearly any situation. Great Katanas as a weapon class are excellent. They are fast, have amazing range, and very high damage. Rakshasas has all of these features, and it improves on the base weapon in several ways. It has higher innate bleed buildup, hyper armor on its normal attacks, and an R2 Claymore-like poke that works better as a mix-up than the horizontal attack of the regular Great Katana. And arguably, its unique Ash of War is better than any of the Ashes you could equip on a regular Great Katana. Weed Cutter was pretty stupid before. In fact, its speed was the only downside because the hyper armor startup begins fairly late in the animation. But it's gone from stupid and easy to turn off your brain and spam to win. If you can combine Weed Cutter roll catches with the regular running and crouching R1 chase downs on the Great Katana, you can mow down groups very quickly. No pun intended. And on higher latency, you still have bleed procs on their way. It has great range, and the hyper armor is strong enough to withstand a Gug's jumping R2. There's a few things that can break the hyper armor, and it's not guaranteed to always multi-hit if they buffer a roll, but matching against this, approaching it, or merely standing in it all spell quick death for your ganking buddies. So while as an invader, I love having something like this for a build, it does bring up some major questions of game balance. When the DLC released, people were discussing the idea of power creep. That's a concept I'm quite familiar with, being a longtime player and fan of different card games and online games with continual release schedules, and at first I was dubious. The base game weapons and abilities are so powerful and damaging, it's hard to imagine that the DLC would have an overall effect that would make it necessary or even mandatory to carry the tools in question. With the recent patch, not only buffing one of the best Ashes of War in the game, but also bringing the new powerful weapons moveset poise damage in line with the rest of the weapons, we've got a full-on DLC meta. Milady, backhand blades, great katanas, and of course, Rakshasa are all clear dominant weapons, and while some creators are going back through the base game weapons and seeing how they stack up, the DLC weapons only dex build is not only possible, but it's damn near optimal. If that's not a sign of power creep, I'm not sure what is. So enjoy this while it lasts. From Software has ensured the game will undergo more patches, and I expect at least 1 or 2 more major updates before they leave the game in whatever state the last patch puts us in. I would expect that while many of these weapons will remain strong, our weed cutting days may not be long for this game. How you feel about that all depends on how powerful you think invaders should be, and if you believe that one superior weapon can counter 3 in the hands of someone with skill, knowledge, and definitive understanding of the L2. Thanks very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. I've got a ton of new builds on the way, and I'm going to be spending some time to bring those builds to you. Stay tuned for more Elden Ring PvP content.